based on what we have observed so far, and then we need to address this particular challenges that might hamper the efforts or the initiative for us to go and to advance through the digital learning experience. So I think this is something that I would like to put forward. And if you're looking at the current situation in Malaysia, I believe there is something that's happening. I think in 2023, at the primary, secondary, and post-secondary level, they are coming up with a national digital education policy to foster digital savvy generation, so that we can use technology appropriately to to facilitate the learning of our students. And this is something that reflecting the Malaysian dedication to advance digital learning to the next level. And if you're looking at the national digital education policy key areas, this is something that maybe we want to explore more, to embark on the policy that has been approved and has been used at least the primary, secondary, and post-secondary levels in improving the student proficiency in digital technology, which is something that is a key focus area. And then they are aiming to enhance the quality of digital content. This is something, in progress, I believe so, because if you're looking at the digital content quality at this moment, you know better than me, right? So, and how do we empower the teacher competency in using technology? This is another, really fundamental challenges for the minister, as well as for the top management, on how to ensure every teacher has similar level, at least competent enough to navigate learning through technology, especially in digital era, in digital world, all right? And how do we promote a culture of digital technology usage among our educational leaders? Sometimes we know how to talk, but when it comes to how to use the technology appropriately, this is something that we back to the faculty development. So even the educational leaders should and must be trained in ensuring that the whole efforts will be sustainable. And then how do we strengthening the digital infrastructure as well as the infrastructure? Because we have learned before in the COVID, we face this in reality, because the digital divide and inequalities that I mentioned before. I think it's something that the policy is trying to improve the way that we put up our infrastructure, either at physical as well as the virtual infrastructure. And how do we develop strategic network with smart partner? And this is where the whole stakeholders need to come together to improve the whole ecosystem. But definitely when it comes to the partnership, there must be a certain financial implication. That is something that I have mentioned before. It's a big challenge when we want to invest in the online educations. Without appropriate financial support, I don't think we are moving forward. So I think this is something that really matters, and to unlock whatever has been politicized, I think we need to address the whole thing. And if you're looking at the recent development in higher education in Malaysia, I think most of you are aware, especially Malaysian, we have launched the Artificial Intelligence Nexus, and then I think UTM was being mandated to develop the faculty of AI. And the most important agenda for that is basically to ensure there is AI integration in all sectors, either higher education, other work sectors, to make sure that AI being used appropriately and being integrated appropriately to facilitate the whole process that can be replaced by the AI. And then there are something that I really look forward is the collaboration between academia, government, industry, to advance all this potential to the next level, especially in higher education, to facilitate a better digital learning experience. There are some things that we are embarking at this moment, but what the results, we are still waiting for it. All right, so we are still waiting for the results, but basically the Malaysians is really really put a lot of efforts to ensure the technology being used appropriately to facilitate learning experience in digital world. All right, and then the commitment to reduce the digital divide and inequality is still being mentioned consistently, and how do we do about it? So it is something that is good. We're moving toward from physical to hybrid, combining with the online learning, but we need to consider how do we address those digital divide and equality challenges. I think this is something that we might want to discuss afterward, but I'm going to say something from my own perspective as someone who observes what is going on in higher education as well as the lower education level. And at the end of the day, all this initiative basically focusing to equip the students, the general populations, as well as the educators with AI and digital literacy skills. So that whenever all are involved and being enhanced, upskills the competency in using the digital technology, then the digital learning will advance at certain level that we want to see. And at this moment as well, not only Malaysian, but even at the regional level, I think this is something that they look forward as well, because Malaysians play important parts in the ASEAN digitalization roadmap as well, and it is very much aligned what the Malaysian is being embarking at this moment, so that every efforts are in the concerted manners to drive the digital transformation. And we hope that the impact will have a very positive impact on not only Malaysia, but even at the region level through the partnership that we created. I think the DX Southeast Asia as well is one of the initiative for partnership toward digital transformation of education and higher education specifically. Right? So I think the whole ecosystem at this moment, either at local level and regional level, and even if you are going for global level, I think this is the way that we are basically embarking and navigating toward how we can change the way we are doing things digitally, so that we can facilitate the same and similar learning experience for the students. And the most important thing is they are achieving what the learning outcome or the competency that are expected from them to achieve and become functioning citizens to develop the nation, right? So I think it is the most important thing. And if you're looking specifically at how do we put into getting into higher education, which is the access to higher education. At this moment, based on the Malaysian experience, basically we are empowering as well as we are allowing. There are certain alternative entry to higher education without any prior qualification. This is based on their prior learning experience. For example, FL, that we have FLA. And then if you are talking about transferring credit, it's FLC, and even qualification for the FLQ. And all this basically are being empowered by the digital developments, especially when it comes to micro-credential, more blended learning, and so on and so forth, so that the students are allowed to enter educational program through non-traditional means. I think this is where the digital technology will play a very important role to enable all this alternative entry when it comes, into getting into the higher education. And when we are talking about getting through, it's about how the student progress, how can they transfer the previous experience or previous learning into certain credits so that they can shorten the durations of study, and the way we deliver the teaching and learning in a flexible way, this is something that I always see the digital technology will definitely become enablers for flexible learning models. And in Malaysia, we have quite many guidelines. Example here, guidelines on how can we credit transfer for MOOC, for micro-credentials, and how can we have a quality verification center to ensure that everything being verified, validated, and the most important thing is authentic. So everything is authentic and original, and that will represent the competency of the students before they can enter to the higher education, and then getting through the higher educations according to their competency at the individual levels when they enter to the higher education. I think these efforts actually allow students to progress at their own pace, and then they're able to transfer credit whatever they have done in other institutions or any other digital platform, so that all this will fit the individual situations. So I think this is something that's progressing, but the progress is really, really positive at this moment, especially in Malaysia. And then it's not enough if you're talking about getting into and getting through, but how can we facilitate the students from higher education to the labor market? So basically, upon graduations, how can we prepare them for the labor markets? And in Malaysian experience, with the latest Malaysian qualification framework, basically we integrate specifically the digital skills as part of the core competency that every student from higher education in Malaysia, either they are from public or from private, have to demonstrate. So if you are looking at the cluster, so it's clearly mentioned that one of the important competency that the student must demonstrate before they graduate from the higher uni program is digital skill. And specific definition for digital skills, whereby the students should demonstrate the ability to use information and digital technology to support their work and studies when they are pursuing the career or advancing the career. I think this is something that's how serious Malaysian governments through the MQA is looking at the importance, the essential competency related to digital skills. So I think this is something that's very, very important to advance our digital learning experience. And in terms of the policy that's supporting digital transformation in Malaysia, so I think the government as well as institutions have laid out their strategies, and we have several examples that we have done. For example, now we have the e-learning policy, Dasar E-Pembelajaran Negara, which is the National E-Learning Policy. We have Malaysian Education Blueprint that emphasize the importance of the, of the digital learning. The My Digital Blueprint basically is My Digital at Malaysia. So supporting all this digital related competency. And for example, in USM, in our own institution as well, we have established the policies on AI and technology-enabled learning, so that all this policy will guide how we can use all this technology ethically and responsibly. All right, so I think this is something that's important to have this kind of policy to support the digital transformation toward what is should be and in a positive way. And if you're looking at regulatory framework to support the digital transformation, we have quite established regulatory framework. For example, we have code of practice for the open and distance learning to support all this digital learning. We have guidelines on how to use artificial intelligence, especially the generative AI in teaching and learning. We have we call it the substitute blended learning. This is something that has been established to support positive digital transformation, so that everyone have the same idea when it comes to ensuring quality and standards for digital learning. I think there is examples from Malaysia, but later on maybe we can listen to other panels who are going to share something from their own perspective. And there are a lot of initiatives as well, actually, being done in Malaysia to support digital transformation. And for example, here, recently from the MEPTA, we have collected best practices. We call it best practices in digital learning and teaching in higher education across the universities, and they compiled the report as reference point for other people to refer if they are, they are interested to embark on something that has been done quite unique in different institutions. And we also have the benchmarking report on the teaching technology-enabled learning, for example, like USM and a few others universities doing the same thing as well. And at the ASEAN level, we play quite a significant roles in the technology-enhanced personalized learning. All this basically initiative or projects that has been done to facilitate a positive digital transformation to support and enable a better digital learning experience. So I think these are something that's a current insight, that overview that I can give you some overview for us to later on discuss further. And hopefully with all these insights at the current moment will lead us to what will be the future directions. All right, so now we are having some knowledge, not all, but some knowledge about what is happening right now, what the insight and what are the challenges actually for us to transform in the positive way that we would like to see. All right, so what will be the future directions? All right, now, in terms of future directions, I think I'd like to quote two quotes from Sin and Simeon. So when we are looking at the technology that we use impress no one, but the experience that we create with it is everything. I think the importance of experience of learning, even in digital world, should be maintained so that the student will feel that either they are in digital world, or we call it digital environments, and the physical environments, they will feel similar. The learning experience more or less similar, but according to the nature of the environment that they engage. And the biggest part of digital transformation is changing the way we think. I think it's something that we need to think differently when it comes to the digital transformation, especially when we want to enable better digital learning experience. So what are those, right? So if we refer to one of the report that was published by Minister of Higher Education on Malaysia future higher education scenarios in fourth industrial and beyond, one of important things that we need to consider when it comes to education in digital era is this one. I think human relation, technology enhanced education, sustainable education is something that I think everyone being discussed, right? So, but the values-driven education in digital transformations to facilitate and enable digital learning advancement, I think this is something that we need to think and we need to discuss, right? So let's look at our national education policy in Malaysia. I think I'm using this example just so that we can connect. So when we talk about the values, I believe it should go against with national education policy because it has been established for many years, all right? So if you're looking at the national education policy, the aim is to develop a balanced and harmonious individual. So the key word is balance. And then to foster national identity, I mean that we need to think what can we do to foster national identity to the digital platform. And then how can we put an EP-driven digital transformation in Malaysia so that we can connect with all these important elements of the national policy agenda. All right, so balance, identity, mindset, access, and unity. So the first thing, maybe in terms of balance, we need to consider how that digital technology can be used for balanced developments, either from the mental, from spiritual, physical, intellectual, and any other relation, any other important components of well-being, right? So balanced development. How do we use technology to develop national identity so that the identity is not compromised? So they still remain intact. And how do we nurture the progressive mindset, the scientific mindset through digital technology? And how to increase the access to education through digital technology when there are still challenges like digital divide and inequalities? And how do we ensure the inclusive education through digital learning to foster unity and caring society? I think this is something that the digital transformation application should think and should consider, because there is something that's nationwide, and there should be alignment between what we do digitally and what we achieve at the higher level, especially meeting the national education philosophy in digital transformation era, right? And if you're looking at another aspect, this one may be local, but now we go for the global. Let's look at the UNESCO 4 pillars of education. How do we ensure that when we transform the learning from physical to digital, how can we ensure that the students able to apply whatever knowledge in a practical situation? And how the practical skill and the ability to apply knowledge in the real world situation. It's not only practical, but how that practical situation can be replicated in the real situation. So it's authentic. All right. And how the students can work effectively with others and contribute to the communities, even though they are digitally connected. And last but not least, how this digital learning experience will promote tolerance, respect, and peaceful coexistence among them. As someone who living in society, in the family, in the community, and so on and so forth. So there is something that, if I look at local level, there is a national education philosophy, but at a higher level, the global level, we have a UNESCO as examples. And I do believe every country have their own national policy when it comes to what they expect the education will produce when the citizen going through the whole education process, right? So this is something that we must think, when we embark on digital learning. And just to highlight what has been mentioned by Albert Einstein, I think many years ago, all right? So when it comes to the technology, even that moment, he sees that technology has exceeded our humanity. So when it comes to a human, so when we embark on any digital technology or any technology, we must ensure that the chief interest of all is human. All right, so it must benefit the human, not the other way around. I think this is something that we need to put in our equation when we formulate any digital learning into place, right? So this is where I put it as human-centric digital transformation application, because we need to consider the human side, even though we are moving toward digital learning, because we need to use any digital technology to enhance the learning experience of students while maintaining a human-centric approach. And whatever the digital technology is designed and used is to serve the needs of the students as well as the educators, not the other way around. I think there's something that I strongly believe the human-centric digital transformation is something that we need to think seriously when it comes to transforming education to digital, all right? And when it comes to that, we are talking about human, definitely it's about human intelligence. I think this is where the technology must be used to enhance the human intelligence, not the other way around. Because if you're looking at the human intelligence always learn the best when they learn from experience. How that learning in digital world, in digital platform, will lead to the experience. And remember, the experience must be practical and real with situation that connect them to the society so that they can work with the society and contribute to the peaceful coexistence with the rest of others. All right. And with the human intelligence, the human intelligence, when they learn from the experience, they will be able to adapt to new situations and they can handle any new situation in a better way when they learn it. All right. And how that technology will enhance the human understanding and they'll be able to extract any new things that they observe from the observations. So this is where the conceptions come to the picture, how they understand in their own words, and how that knowledge being used to manipulate the environment so that the environments will give benefits to the humankind and at the same time maintaining the environmental safety. I think this is something that we need to think as well when we are talking about digital learning advancement when it comes to enhancing human intelligence through the technology. And I think this is something that is very much being taught and been discussed at this moment, how the AI shapes the future learning. All right, so I think this report is very interesting. I recommend for everyone to read, but the conclusion that I can make based on my own understanding after reading this not so long documents is we need to leverage AI strategically, so that our education will be more responsive, more equitable, so that the digital divide and inequalities will be reduced significantly, and hopefully that will be ready for the future education, and that will have impact on our next generations of citizens. Right? So, and if I looking at the report and the way that I interpret, I think yes, AI can make education more responsive by addressing diverse learning needs. Because when you have AI, actually you can personalize and customize to the needs of the learners. I think that is one of the best thing that AI can assist any educators to facilitate personalized learning. And with a better infrastructure and infrastructure, I think when the digital divide and equities is being addressed, the equitable can be achieved by providing resources to undeserved students. I think there is something that AI can do as well because they facilitate the undeserved students with more facilitation by the AI. And the future ready is be ensured and will ensure as well learners are equipped with the necessary skill for a technology-driven world because AI will be able to become their assistants, or we call it assistant learning. So the power of AI is really, really, very, very essential to facilitate all these importance outcomes. And but something that I would like to state is AI can amplify human intelligence, but not replace it. All right. So at this moment, when I read even not only this report, but others research as well, at this moment, if we use AI strategically, it will amplify human intelligence, but at this moment cannot replace the human intelligence totally. All right. So, but it assists how the human intelligence can be enhanced and augmented through the assistance of AI. All right. And at the end, I think we need to see technology, any technology as a tool, and we need to use wisely to get the intended results. Because at this moment, I believe everyone realizes we are in the bunny world. So the technology can be very useful for us to navigate the bunny world. But if we wrongly use the technology for wrong reasons, the intended result might go in other way around. It will break the world. It will make us more anxious, and everything is something that is very non-linear, very difficult for us to anticipate, and sometimes we cannot understand properly what is happening. But if you use technology properly, it will help us to be more resilient. It will help us to improve or augment our well-being. The data that has been analyzed by the AI, for example, will be able to assist us to foresight what will be the future. And then the accessibility to the information because of the technology will make us understand better what we are doing. I think this is something that we really need to use the AI purposefully and fitting the purpose, especially meeting the educational goals that we are together want to achieve to make the world as a better place, right? Through technology. And just to kind of call it something that I put as humanizing technology pillars under space. So the acronym is SPACE. So what is SPACE? Basically, when it comes to humanizing technology, so one is definitely the center is the students. All right. So we need to ensure that the technology will empower students to take control. I mean that to have autonomy on their own learning. And we must encourage them to collaborate through the technology. I think this is very important. And then the P is personalization. As I mentioned before, because we have AI, we have maybe in the next few years, there will be more powerful AI. The personalization, the personalized learning can be something, everyone can have access. Not only a certain group of students, but every student will be assisted by AI to facilitate their learning and to have a better digital learning experience with AI assistant. And then the accessibility of the technology to all students, regardless of their abilities and backgrounds. So I think when we have all those accessibility, every student have access to the technology, I think the learning, digital learning will be more better, all right? And last but not least, I think when it comes to the technology, the ethical use, responsible use is very important because the privacy, data privacy, the security, data protection, and so on and so forth, the cyber security, it must come to the picture. Even though we are quite excited with digital transformation, digital learning, and whatever relevant to that, but the ethical use, responsible use of those data being gathered is very pertinent, right? And how do we go about this? What are the strategies for humanizing technology, right? So I think I will put into 4 themes, all right? So the first theme is, I put it as humanizing learning institutions. And second is leveraging Uberization of higher education, because we can see that higher education is just like Uber right now. Every student can have access, personalized to their needs, and so on and so forth, even to enter, to get through, even to graduate. Also, they have a flexibility over that. And then how to revitalize or uplifting the education ecosystem, and how can we prepare the education for changing world. So I'm going to touch on these 4 main aspects briefly later on. And just to let you know, I'm referring to this, my commentary actually, it was published, Strategies for Human Technology in Health Profession. Even though it's dedicated for health profession education, I think the principles still can be applied in any other profession. So I hope I will put into some things easy to digest later on, and we can discuss after my presentation. But if you want to read more, you can read because it's a free access. Right now, in terms of strategies on humanizing learning institutions, there are 3 things that we need to consider. One is we need to incorporate the ethical and moral values into our curriculum and the culture of learning institutions. This is where the value-based strategies. I think if the learning institutions is keeping up with all these value-based strategies, for example, just now I have mentioned previously, it's about the national education philosophy and the 4 pillars of education by UNESCO. I think this will be facilitating the way we learn in the digital platform. And then regardless of the platform, including digital learning, the competency-based strategies must be there, because either digital or physical, they must enable the student to attain the competency that they are required before they can graduate and to serve the nations as someone who are, are competent enough to develop the nation. I think that is something, and looking at the changing worlds, the rapid changing worlds, I think the competency is a competency-based strategy is very, very crucial. And the third one, I always believe that well-being must be, taken care as well. Because we have seen many reports, many studies showing that when it comes to digital learning compared to the face-to-face, there are issues related to well-being. So I think either at intellectual, physical issues, emotional issues, mental issues, and many other things, we need to find out strategies. How can we address those issues in the digital world? And it is a real issues, but strategies a lot. There are so many strategies to address the well-being issues, but it's depending on the context, because I don't believe one size fit all strategies that can solve every problems. Every institution, every context have their own well-being issues. It's just a matter of how the institution or how we address the issues strategically, right? And in terms of the urbanization of higher education, I think it is a very good time for us to prepare the students with the future-ready curriculum. We are not only driven by the content, but it should be driven by what they can do in reality. All right, so with that, we can prepare our students for the rapidly evolving job market that nowadays I think digital skills is something that really makes them outstanding compared to those without digital skills, right? And the future ready credentialing model, I think at this moment we are still using conventional credentialing model. Not many institutions are using the future-ready credentialing model. I think this is something that I would suggest for you to read the UNESCO Digital Credentialing Framework that was published in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, have provide a kind of framework that we can adapt and adopt so that the digital credential models can be used and can be implemented widely in our context, because the framework is there, just a matter of there's no takers, right? So I think it is something that we might want to consider. How can we empower, enhance the digital credentialing model, but at the same time, we can verify the competencies of the students with good authenticity. I mean that they can apply those skills in the real world setting, right? And digital fluency education, I think is a very obvious. I have basically mentioned many times before. I think this is very important when it comes to digital learning experience, and with the digital learning skills, basically we are preparing them for the future economics model. I think this is something that the gig economy comes to picture. Now people don't like being, stick to one institution. They have multiple jobs at the same time through the digital platform and so on and so forth. Even, children nowadays generating money from digital platforms. I think this is something that we call it a new job that was not existed before, but now existing, and we see mushrooming, and growing the economic capability because of the digital transformation. And in terms of how to uplifting our education ecosystem, they are very important to consider the students, because we have a new breed of learners. All right, there are diversity in learners. So I think it is something that we need to recognize the unique needs of learners, and with different and various abilities. I think if we properly understand our client, I will say our client, because they are students and we are the educators, we need to understand them. Because maybe we have been prepared for our worlds, but now we need to prepare them for their world. Our world is already finished, almost finished actually. This is our world right now. But their world, we do not know how, but we can predict that they will be challenging and definitely driven by technology, right? And the teaching workforce itself need to be strengthened, because at this moment, if you are looking at the way we teach, the way we facilitate, even the conventional way of teaching learning is not something at that level. Further, even more when they are facilitating in digital platforms. I think this is something that is challenging for us, but we need to professionalize the teaching workforce, either in, especially in higher education, because usually in the primary, secondary, post-secondary are well trained, but in higher education, we are not well trained. We are trained to be content expert, but not the pedagogical experts. All right, so this is something that we need to embrace, and then we need to move on with upskilling and reskilling in terms of how we can deliver better in the digital platforms. How can we navigate the digital worlds effectively, so that the digital learning experience experienced by the students at the best level. And the teacher's well-being is important as well. We have, I think we have read so many reports, so many news about when you embark with digital transformation, actually they embark more loads to the teachers, more concerns to their well-being. Nowadays, they are working almost 24 hours. And previously, without digital, they're just working from 8 until 5, and then maybe there are certain, there are certain institutions up to maybe 9. But nowadays, at any moment, they can be text, they can have class, they can at any moment, and even the wider open distance learning sometimes in the morning. All right, so I think this is something that we need to think as well. Not only student well-being, but the teacher well-being. We need to have a culture of support, and we need to have a kind of empathy to them, sympathy, and definitely we need to provide whatever teachers needed in terms of resources to support their well-being. I think this is something that we need to think as well. And last but not least, because we are in the changing world, we need to have strategies to prepare our education changing world. And the most important thing is our higher education must be resilient. It means that they must be agile enough to respond to changes. And we have learned from the COVID experience how we are struggling when it comes to that only 2 to 3 years periods of non-face-to-face everything in digital. So basically, we were I would say, stuck at the initial phase. But we need to learn from there so that we are more resilient if the similar situation happening, or we are embarking on that kind of environments in digital world. And responsive policy and decision making, I think, is very important because we have learned as well from the COVID how the policymakers must be rapidly responsive to ensure the continuity of the education, either at primary, secondary, or even the tertiary level. I think this is something that we have learned. I'm not going to say more about that because we have experienced that. And the future job readiness is something that we need to ensure that our students are ready, the knowledge, the skills, the experience, even though they got it from the digital environment, from the digital platform, that experience, knowledge, and skills can be used for them to carry out their responsibility as citizens, or maybe we call it as nation builder to any nation, right? So I think this is something that's very important. And to make these strategies effective, I think training and support must be there. We need to really understand the needs of our student educators. Don't forget our educators. Student is important, but educators also important. Increase accessibility, use technology as a tool rather than a replacement for whatever we are doing now. And how do we foster a sense of community when it comes to the digital transformations? And I think one of important framework that maybe before I end my presentation is the equity, inclusivity, diversity framework for a human-centric digital investment. Maybe let's just revise a little bit. When we talk about diversity, we acknowledge and recognize the individual differences among our students as well as our educators, and not only educators, our admin staff, supporting staff as well. They're also part of the ecosystem. And when talk about inclusivity, it's about the equal access for everyone to the same opportunities and resources. So equal access to opportunities and resources. And when you talk about equity, it's about equal opportunity for them to success. So how do we navigate that? All right. So in digital learning, I think if we're talking about the digital learning advancement, whatever the advancement that we want to make digitally, they must fit educational purpose. This is where I think the constructive alignment must be there. Okay, it must be purposeful advancement of digital learning. All right, so otherwise, we are in the bunny world, we can make things worse, all right? And we need to create settings that celebrate and embrace the rich dimension of learners and teachers' diversity. I think we need to personalize, if possible, with the technology, or maybe at least near personalize, right? So this is something that's our challenge. There is no, I think, silver bullet at this moment. This is where the innovation and the policies come to the picture to unlock all these necessary things to ensure a human-centric digital learning. And in terms of inclusivity and how that will lead to equal opportunity for success, as I think being highlighted quite many times, enhance learning engagement and morale even in digital learning. How can we increase the learners' learning control, their autonomy in digital learning? How can we foster well-being strategies for them to learn in digital platform? And how can we increase the learning support and connection? I think learning support and connection definitely will be increased with the digital learning, but how can we ensure that the human connections over there? All right, and how can we increase the pragmatic education policy and practices to facilitate all this digital investment so that everyone have equal opportunity for success? And how do we ensure the quality of communications for a better digital learning experience? So at the end, all learners, including in the digital platforms, are provided with opportunity to attain the intended competency, so that with that competency, they will be able to carry out their responsibility when they go to the workforce sector. Right? So this is something that very important. And I think I always agreed and always showing this picture. I really love this statement by UNESCO based on the publication, Reimagining Our Futures Together, a new social contract for education. And what it says is that we need to extend our education experience innovation to new setting through sharing of practices and policies. All right, so I think whatever the DXC project is doing, I think it is something that's really facilitates, and the sharing from the panels from multiple views is very, very important toward this future. All right, toward this future. All right, so I think more or less I have covered current insights and the future direction. I hope that gives you a glance through about what is currently happening and what will be the future direction, especially when we embark on a human-centric digital learning advancement. Right, in summary, the first thing that I would like to highlight here is the digital technology really transforms the landscape of education. There is no doubt about that, right? And humanization is also important. We need to use technology wisely to humanize digital learning environment so that the human-centric is there. We do not left the human behind, right? So we bring together and put a focus. How can we use technology to enhance the human intelligence so that the humans can go to higher levels in terms of giving benefits to the humankind. And we like it or we don't like it, we need to embrace digital learning advancement because that is the future. But we need to think how can that serve the needs of students, educators, and the nations. All right, so it is very important. And finally, I believe that we need to also consider the EID framework, the equity, inclusivity, diversity framework for the human-centric digital learning advancement. I think this is my summary. I hope that gives you an overview what is happening at this moment in terms of digital transformation education in Malaysia. And with that, I think before that, I would like to invite everyone to this conference. We are talking about artificial intelligence in medical education, which is related to the medicine and health sciences in this coming December. I hope you can join and we can have a further discourse about how that technology will enhance our educational practices in Malaysia as well as in the region. Thank you so much. And anyone want to download this PowerPoint, you can download, you can scan, can take picture, and then you can use for whatever reasons you want. All right, so it's free and then it's open access. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Saiful, for that comprehensive overview of the digital transformation landscape in Malaysia. Your insights provide an excellent foundation for the discussions we will have today. All right, before that, probably I could do a quick recap of Dr. Saiful's Saya dah on dulu tadi. Okay, thank you, Dr. Saiful, for that comprehensive overview of the digital transformation landscape in Malaysia. Your insights provide an excellent foundation for the discussions we will have today. Now I will do a quick recap of Dr. Saiful's presentation. He highlighted the nation's integration of digital technologies through policies. All right, Dr. Saiful also emphasizes flexible learning, alternative entry pathways, and digital skill development. Another key focus was the humanizing digital education through the SPACE framework, ensuring technology, enhancing students' well-being and ethics. And another one is the role of AI in personalized learning, which was also discussed. He also stresses the importance of collaboration between universities and industries to bridge the digital divide and prepare students for a technology-driven future. Now let's dive deeper into these themes with our distinguished panelists. Before that, allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists, each of whom will share their perspectives on the themes Dr. Saiful has outlined. I'm honored to introduce Associate Professor Dr. Nurbiha, an educational technologist at University Technology Malaysia with 14 years of experience. She holds a PhD in educational technology and focuses on educational data mining, online learning, and learning analytics. Currently, she is the Deputy Director of the Center for Advancement in Digital and Flexible Learning and chairs the Malaysia Public University E-Learning Council MIPTA since 2020. Dr. Norbiha has led over 10 local and international research grants and is now working with UNESCO MGIEP on developing an online course in media literacy. Okay, so I'll be speaking from here. All right, thank you very much, Dr. Nuraini, for your kind introduction. So from the presentation by Associate Professor Dr. Saiful just now, I would like to further narrow down the perspective of the future of e-learning using Malaysia landscape. As being discussed before, Dr. Saiful talked about several regulatory frameworks, several policies in Malaysia. I'm going to talk about how these frameworks are being used in Malaysia higher education landscape to drive the future of e-learning. So I think this is a common education evolution, not only in Malaysia, but it happens throughout globally. So in the 20s, we have lecture-based education. And then once we have internet connection, we have teaching and learning materials being shared online. Of course, this is still in the form of text-based. We do not have any interactive teaching and learning materials when we have internet back then in 1990s. And in the early 2000s, we try to focus more on how can we teach better with the various learning resources that we can obtain online. That happens in the early 2000s. And now, and currently, we have a lot of learning materials in such a way that not only higher education providers are sharing these learning materials, we also have industry partners, we also have individuals sharing their knowledge online, in which all of these learning resources are accessible by anyone. This creates a situation in such a way that you can learn from anyone using the learning materials that you can get from the internet. That means whatever you want to learn, you can quickly get that from the internet, which is provided by anyone in the world. Now, this scenario has created and somehow has revolutionized the way higher education institution is currently operating. So providing a block-based education is no longer an option because block-based education can limit flexibility when we have our students and individuals out there who can get any of these learning materials from many other sources. So how can higher education institution be more competitive while having all of these learning resources out there in the internet provided by many other institutions, provided by many other industries? So the way I see it, maybe Dr. Saiful was focusing more on value-based education and how can we humanize technology and digital learning. The way I see it is that with all of this emergence of contents, the emergence of learning resources that we can get from many other stakeholders all over the world in the internet, what higher education should look forward is that how can we make use and leverage on this content catalog that we have, various contents provided by different stakeholders, and form that into a formal learning experience that is supported by immersive learning spaces and digital learning pedagogy and tools. And that can help many of us to shape our own curriculum that we want, that is driven by our own needs and our own purposes. If we look at This is an example from University Technology Malaysia. To further support personalized learning, we have not only we provide learning resources in the form of teaching and learning that is in the form of videos and lecture notes. We try to also enrich the students' learning experience by providing hands-on animations so that their learning experience, we can further support their demand in virtual learning through virtual lab activities. So not only we support them with learning contents, we also support them with hands-on activities that can be carried out immersively online. Not only learning materials, we also have to be aware of the fact that we now have, we no longer live in the world of digitization. In fact, we have now moved our content to the form of digitalization, in which our content is no longer static. We can have feedback, we can provide responses to our students in such a way that the way we teach our students, the way we deliver our students in an online learning, in a digital learning environment, should leverage on these features. That's why we should not, or that's why we should move away from a passive learning pedagogy, and we should focus more on connectivism learning theory, which focuses on how can we tap on the existing learning resources and leverage on these learning resources into our own classroom. So connectivism learning theory is a theory that explains how people learn when they are able to connect the correct learning resources together. So this perspective of learning theory should be further expanded when we are living in the world of digital learning, and the way we teach our students, the way we understand how people learn should also change according to connectivism learning theory. And of course, not only the way we teach should change, the learning environment that we provide to our students should also change. And with all of this advancement, I'm trying to combine that with the existing frameworks that has been previously laid out by Dr. Saiful in his presentation. So in Malaysia, we have various guidelines that support the development of flexible academic program, that support the development of delivering learning in a hybrid environment. We also have frameworks that support the teaching and learning pedagogy using generative artificial intelligence. So these frameworks are already, we have that in place in Malaysia. It is a matter of time that that higher education institutions pick this up and formulate that to be implemented in their respective institution. We also have digital learning content to further support the personalization of content that can tailor to whatever needs by our students. And with this course catalog, we also have in Malaysia the framework that can guide the higher education institution on what kind of digital learning content you should provide to your students. We have guidelines to good practices in developing micro-credentials. We also have the guidelines on how students can use their experience when learning in online learning courses and turn that into credits and then enroll in a formal academic program. So all of this mechanism is already in place. It's just a matter of time that someone can tap into all of this mechanism that we have in higher education institution in Malaysia. And finally, with all the mechanisms that we have, with all the frameworks that we have, with all the contents and digital learning pedagogy that we try to introduce in Malaysia, we hope that all of these facilities can prepare our students for personalized learning, in which they are able to formulate their own academic program that is responsive to their own needs and their own purposes. and to formulate an academic program that is personalized to a person's individual needs is not that easy. However, in Malaysia, we have the experiential learning and competency-based education landscape, the Excel framework over here. This Excel framework gives an idea to the students and to the higher education institution on how they can build academic program that is based on personal choices, that is based on what students are passionate about, that is based on what the students want to learn. And at the end of the day, this framework is trying to what this framework is trying to aim is that to produce a student that has built his or her curriculum, and the curriculum is not built by the higher education institution. This is where we plan to go ahead when we talk about personalized education in Malaysia, especially in higher education institution. And of course, we also have another academic program which we call as open and distance learning. This code of practice or program structure also promotes flexibility, but not so much on personalization. Is more or less is more about flexibility in terms of delivery of the teaching and learning methods in the program, in which you can learn in the block base. So the academic program is still a block based academic program. However, you can learn that from distance, and then you can go through the teaching and learning materials at your own time and space. Finally, I would like to wrap my presentation by saying that the future is now. In Malaysia especially, we already have the facilities, we have the mechanisms in place, we have the concept of where we want to go for the next 5 years at least. So it is high time that the higher education institution embark into transforming the academic program, transforming the way they deliver teaching and learning in universities, because this transformation can promote learning equality by providing a flexible learning ecosystem that is very personalized to learners. We in fact have the curriculum framework for personalization of learning. And higher education institutions should leverage on advanced technology. We have digital content. Many of our content catalogs are already available in the internet. We also have virtual reality and augmented reality to support engaging and demand-based education that we have been discussing previously. I think with that, thank you very much. Thank you for your sharing, Dr. Robiha, which highlights the flexibility in the landscape of education brought upon by the digital transformation. Dr. Robiha also highlighted the personalized learning, the initiatives done by UTM through initiatives like virtual lab, and the MOOC micro modules, if I'm not mistaken, micro modules, all eventually would be boosting students' learning experience. Now, without further ado, next we have Professor Dr. Suyansa as our second panelist, an esteemed academic from University Malaysia Sabah, specializing in ESL education. His research focuses on language learning strategies, rural ESL learners' challenges, and integrating reflective practices in teacher education. He has explored the role of digital literacy in enhancing language instruction, particularly in vocabulary acquisition. His work is widely published, influencing both academic research and practical approaches to ESL education in Malaysia. Please welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Nuraini. Good afternoon and good morning to our friend in Europe, if any of them here. Mabuhay to our friends in the Philippines. It's good to have you, and I would like to start my presentation with Dr. Saiful's slides. Yeah, just now he shared with us, and I was attracted to one of the slide, the content of his slide when he presented that the use of digital technology to enhance the learning experience of students while maintaining a human-centric approach. The student actually, the digital technology is designed and used to serve the needs of students and educators and not the other way around. So if you look at the issue of the implementation of digital education in countries like particularly Malaysia and our partners, Lao and Cambodia, there are sort of a number of pedagogical issues that we can see sort of emerging from these countries, yeah, and these issues are very much related to, you know, the unique educational sort of environment of each country. So in this afternoon discussion, I would touch on a few issues which relate to teacher training and digital literacy, curriculum adaptation for digital learning, assessment and evaluation in digital platforms, equity in digital learning, and student engagement and motivation in digital learning. So I bring your attention to the implementation and the challenges of implementing digital education at, you know, more well, school level, I would say, yeah, school level. And this is very sort of close to my heart personally, but I think it is vital that we also focus on a lower level of the education sort of hierarchy, because this actually will affect, yeah, what we have in the future. Right now, I think we already know that from our research is that in if you were to integrate digital education, we would have to be ready on teachers' ability. We need to recognize that teachers' ability to use digital tools and pedagogies that are friendly to technology in their teaching practices. We have to acknowledge this relationship between digital education and teachers' ability to use the digital tools, and also they are prepared, pedagogically prepared to integrate the use of technology in their teaching practices. And a lack of digital literacy, of course, would hamper, would affect negative in a negative way, yeah. Particularly if we talk about rural areas or rural education, and we can see this in the case of Malaysia. You know, we have introduced digital education transformation plan in Malaysia, where we aim at promoting digital learning to the masses, to our students both in rural and urban areas. But we found that in the case of Malaysia, there are still a big or significant portion of teachers teaching in rural areas still grappling with the issue of implementing digital education. So we, like it or not, I think this is something that we have to deal with and we have to face, yeah. And there are a lot of initiative by the government actually to overcome, yeah, to encourage, to promote, through professional development, yeah, to upgrade digital literacy among teachers, especially in the rural areas. In the case of Laos and Cambodia, they also have these similar problems. They have this problem of, a lack of exposure to digital education tools. And because of this somehow hamper the progress, the national aim, the national sort of goal to digitize education, yeah, especially at school level. So how do we sort of overcome, if not minimize the problem or deal with this problem? So I think the thing that we first have to look at or look into is we have to introduce, professional development programs that focus not only on basically digital literacy, but also on how to leverage technology to enhance pedagogical practices. So teachers have to be trained, they must be trained on how to incorporate learning management system. I think this happened in Malaysia through FROG VLE, yeah, is a learning management system. Attempts had been done as early as 2012, yeah, by the Ministry of Education. Yeah, we tried to introduce this, but for some reason, it has succeeded in some areas, but of course, we still need to put more effort to see like a more successful sort of achievement, something that we can sort of say proud of, yeah, especially in terms of the education system, in relation to the digitization of education in Malaysia. So we need to introduce, apart from that, maybe online collaboration tools, digital content creation into teaching, and in our professional development programs. And on the second issue is related to access to technology and internet connectivity. So these issues, yeah, we know that it very much related to the availability of both hardware and reliable internet access. In Malaysia, and also in the case of Laos and Cambodia, we have similar sort of problem, even though one would say that it's not so prominent in Malaysia, but we still have this problem as well. There are certain areas where there are still barriers to the widespread implementation of digital learning, yeah. So in this case, we may want to resort to maybe perhaps a low-tech solution where you use offline educational apps and preloaded learning content on maybe tablets or USB drives, for example. And while doing that, we also have to introduce initiatives that help to improve the long-term internet infrastructure, especially in the rural areas. Yeah. So I think this is where the government, maybe with the help of telecom providers, can sort of explore the use of satellite technologies, which I think we have done in some cases. I think this is something that is not new, but I think still relevant, even at this day and age. Yeah. And next one is the curriculum adaptation for digital learning. Now, we know that transitioning to digital learning requires substantial changes, yeah, in a traditional curriculum, which we know was very reliant upon face-to-face teaching and static materials. For digital education to succeed, curricula must incorporate interactive, multimedia-rich content that engages students and aligns with digital pedagogical practices. Now, in Malaysia, we have introduced the CEFR, Common European Framework of References, yeah, aligned curriculum, especially in terms of the teaching and learning of language education, especially English language education. Now, this initiative was developed to be sort of adaptable for digital platforms, but there are still many rural schools struggle with its implementation due to lack of resources and also insufficient teacher training. So this lead to the inevitable consequence where teachers still have to rely on traditional non-digital methods, which limit student engagement with the curriculum. Now, this also is still happening in in our partners in Lao and Cambodia, where the reliance on printed textbooks and static resources still remains high. Okay, the next one is perhaps there must be efforts by governments and also by the ministries responsible for education to focus on creating something that is digitally integrated curricula that can incorporate the use of multimedia resources, such as maybe, I don't know, interactive simulation, for example, educational videos and digital storytelling tools. Yeah. So these resources should be aligned, of course, with the national educational goals and must be adaptable for various learning environments. So I would like to stress on this phrase, adaptable for various learning environments, because even though we are, one country, there are a lot of variants or variables that can affect the implementation or successful implementation of digital sort of education. And related to that, we now move on to assessment and evaluation in digital platforms. So this is one area which I think pose a key sort of a challenge. It is one of the key challenges in digital education, and that is how to effectively assess students' learning in an online environment. Yeah, I think this is something that we still we are still sort of learning how to do. Yeah, keep on progressing in this area. Yeah, online assessment. Yeah, or online assessment literacy. Yeah, this is something that we teachers need to, educators particularly, need to sort of look into deeper, yeah, because I think assessment and pedagogy, they are part of sort of the system, of the ecosystem, and we need to look into this, yeah. And we have introduced, attempts have been made, especially in our country, in Malaysia, yeah. But of course, there are a lot of issues arising with regards to assessment and evaluation in digital platforms. The next one is equity in digital learning. Now, we know that digital education, the initial sort of idea of introducing it is to make learning more effective. Yeah, this is the aim. This is the initial aim. But of course, we have to also realize that it has the potential to actually exacerbate existing educational inequities. Yeah, particularly for students from rural and also low-income backgrounds who may have access to technology and also to access of internet connectivity. So bridging this gap is really critical, obviously, for to ensure that all students have the opportunity to benefit from digital learning. And in the case of Malaysia, this digital divide is especially evident between the rural and urban students. For example, we have where the former has more access to digital devices as compared to the latest group of students. So this is something that we need to consider in our enthusiasm, in our sort of a drive to implement digital sort of education. I think we need to take this into consideration, the issues of equity and access to digital education. Perhaps the last point that I would like to put forward is the student engagement and motivation in digital learning. So we know that, as the previous point I was sharing just now, digital learning is taught, yeah, to introduce new things that would make students more interested in learning. But then again, there is the other side of it, yeah, which I think we need to be sort of concerned about, which is it can be challenging for students who are used to teacher-centered approaches, which I think we in Asia, particularly, we still have this sort of teacher-centered learning approach, where we sort of still practice spoon feeding to our students. So we need to change this. There must be a sort of a paradigm shift. There must be willingness on the parts of teachers, educators, and also students to realize that the way to go is more to we have a lot of concepts like self-directed learning, student-centered learning. So that is where we have to moving towards to, if we want to make sure or maximize the effectiveness of our initiative to implement digital educations. So introducing new things, like maybe I think we already know, like gamifications is one thing that we can introduce here to attract, to create interest among students. Yeah. So I think with that, I would like to conclude, and we can see that from the discussion, there are a lot of opportunities actually to for us to grow, to benefit from digital sort of education. But then again, I think we also have to be mindful of the challenges that lie ahead, and we know that we also have other sort of group of students who may not benefited so much from this initiative. And of course, we have to make sure that to help them, there are a lot of things that we need to sort of take upon ourselves to, to improve the situation. With that, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Yansa, on your take on the unique pedagogical issues in the context of Malaysia, Lao PDR, and Cambodia. Professor has also highlighted other issues related to digital learning implementation, such as teachers lacking the required competency, a lack of access, which could be brought upon by the lack of infrastructure, and also in terms of the adaptability of the current curriculum, all right? And a few more areas which can be explored later on, I think, during the Q&A session. Finally, I would like to introduce Mr. Sayapon Pemason, the Director of the Academic Affairs Office at Savannah Kent University, Lao PDR. He leads initiatives in modern learning and policy planning, playing a key role in establishing the university's Technology and Innovation Center. He has collaborated with the private sector to advance e-learning and has participated in international programs like the DXC Digital Transformation Leadership Conference in Lisbon and a scientific research program at the University of Pisa. His contributions to digital education span Vietnam, China, Cambodia, and South Korea, shaping the future of education in Lao PDR. Please welcome Mr. Sayapon.
Could
Mr.
I
Sayapon?
test my sound? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, but I think we cannot see your full presentation though.
Okay, I share already. Yeah.
Can you put it on presenter mode?
Okay. Yes, I will present. I have the sample point to say.
Yes, we can see the slide. Yes, we can see the slide now.
Okay. Good
Sorry,
morning
sir. I mean,
for the
sorry,
participant.
Sir, I think.
What?
We put it on full mode. Yeah, maybe you can put it on full mode or the presenter mode for your presentation.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can see the multiple tabs that you
But-
are opening at the moment.
Okay.
Do you have a copy? Maybe you can try stop sharing and then try to share again.
I think sharing screen, that's why.
Share screen.
You need to off.
He can just.
Hello.
Can you click on slideshow at the bottom of your PowerPoint? So slideshow mode.
Okay.
Yep. Right
Okay.
now. Put on the slideshow mode. Slideshow.
Okay.
Down there. Slideshow, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Can I start?
Yes.
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, all friends from the European participant, and good afternoon for the our friend in the Malaysia, Cambodia. Okay, it's the first time for me to the speaker to talk about the digital learning, but on behalf of our university, I have some idea after I listening from the keynote speaker, Dr. Saifu. He talked about how to develop how to establish in all the transformers, the digital transformation in the Malaysia. But we have the uh, agreement with another the point, like we have the 6 point to the presented, but is the for number 3, like in the slide, the getting out graduate. I think that's the for the our university, like the university in the Lao. I think that is the if you want to the development the graduate or the preparation of the labor markets. I think that is the duty of our university and the factory or the another the section. If he want to the level the market and for our student to master the real the graduate to the support there. And number 2 for the policy, I think that's the in the making the decision for the high level education in the Lao, for the decision make a decision, but this point we have the ministry to the approve, like, and then our university to the implement it, like implement depend on the policy of the university. And then for the regulatory, I think there's our the ministry in the support about how to organize teaching and learning in the literature. But they have the policy, the ministry, they have the declaration on implemented and administration and the teaching learning in the high education. But then now we have declaration already. But and then we will how to the upgrade or the transform the digital the learning. And for the how to the infinitives to the support digital transformation. But in the our university, we have we are in process about the preparing how to the upgrade from the physical learning and to the transform the digital learning. But I will sum up for some event to happen in the teaching and the learning before the COVID crisis. Okay, for the system for the teaching and learning, we have only the face-to-face, like all the students who come to university or the school. We stayed on the only the face-to-face the learning. For the have the COVID crisis now, but it's make the like educator or the leadership how to learn, how to organize. So for the avoid the COVID, but we find some tool, some the material how to connect it with the student or how to teach, but we cannot come to the university. So the avoid the COVID, we can use online learning, like we use the Google Meet, but it's not has the right listen, but we have used only, and the Zoom and the keep assignment while to give assignment to student while the email, the messenger group, and the WhatsApp. And for the now, I think that for the COVID-19 crisis is makes me or make us to learn more about how to teach. Maybe they have the many methods, many elements to teach. Like now we try to make for the blended learning, that is. And for this, but they have the many point. The thing is very important. I think that's for our university must do in the future, like Malaysia system teaching like this. The first thing I offering is we need the improve the student knowledge about the digital technology. It's the same time is also the enhance the lecturer knowledge digital technology. That if you want to improve or transform the digital learning, and maybe we can shift up to the digital university. I think that's give up the knowledge, some the digital for the student and the lecturer in university is very important. And third thing that we will the action plan or the strategy with our network, like we have the DXC, Erasmus acid. I think that is we have a good for the network to the working in the future. I think that we have a make a common action plan or the common strategy with the work for the work. I think that is we have we will have we actually have the sustainable in the collaboration. And the next point, we think that's our university just established the technology and innovation center. The committee, the leader, the committee in our university, they have agreed. Now we must to establish technology and innovation in the center to the support everything in our university, like a database, how to the digital learning, how to make this one. That's in we have established already, and then collaborate with the private sector to the development, like we is the smart learning management system to the support, because but for the next we will out the graduate or the student to the support in the factory, but maybe in the future we need to the job description, but I think that we need to the what degree you graduate. That is because maybe the some factory or the company he need to what you do have the skill to can the joy with your work like this. Okay, this one is the some idea this one, but I have the more point. I think that we need to develop together, like Professor Saifu to say and Professor Sanyasa to say about the Lao and Cambodia. I think that we have the Lao and Cambodia is quite similar the program about the digital learning. I think that's the first thing we have the support. We need to the digital the tool to the support in our university. And the second, we have the upgrade the knowledge, digital knowledge, like knowledge of the digital technology. And the one thing information we need to the budget to the support in the implementing, like training the teacher in the digital technology that is. Okay. Okay, is the thank you very much to the decisions asked. Okay, have finished.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sayapon, for your insightful sharing on the contextual information, especially initiatives done at SKU. All right, so thank you to all of our panelists for sharing your valuable insights. At this point, we will take some questions from our participants. So far, we've had 4 questions. So in case you, the audience, especially participants, if you have additional questions, you can just type your questions in the chat box. Please indicate your name and also your affiliation as well. All right. So I hope all of our panels are ready, including our keynote speaker, Dr. Saiful. Okay, I think this first question is specially dedicated to Dr. Saiful. Okay, a question asked by Mr. Romeo Akamana Jr. What is the social impact of a technology-driven education in the 4th industrial revolution?
พวกเจ้าก็ฟังค่อยเว่าหูเรื่องอยู่ว่า
All right, so thank you so much for the question. Maybe in short, I think from from the reports, from the evidence,
ลาวฟัง
from my own observation, I think the way that the digital technology have impact in terms of the social, one is the connectivity between humans. I think that is something that really obvious because through the digital technology, basically we're connected. Just like now, you can see we are connected from various parts of the world through the digital platform. I think it's quite obvious. That is one of the social. And then in terms of the social interaction through the digital platform is also lead to positive and active sharing of ideas, exchanging practices, extending certain good and best practice in education, and that actually can be emulated by many of us. Actually, we have learned so much, and then the exchange of knowledge that lead to the transformation of society also being being seen as one of the social impact of all this digital technology. I think there are a lot of social impact actually being seen as a result of the digital advancement, especially when it comes to generating the incomes to people that can improve their social well-being, generating the connection and networks that can improve their social networking and support and many other things. So I think from the evidence, reports, and my own observation, I think that is a very prominent and obvious insight. However, there are also the other part of coins, there is a positive and negative. There is also negative things about how that technology have impact socially. I think, for example, that we can see that something that is the unwanted cultures, unwanted unwanted social behaviors, unwanted mindset has been also imparted through the technology. I think there's a two coins of this. The two coins are positive and negative. But what we need to be, to be careful is how we use all the digital technology for the purpose of improving our education system. I think that is quite obvious. I think that is we need to have a human-centric way of using technology for benefits of the humankind rather than I would say disrupting and disruptly the well-being, including the social well-being of our humankind. I think this is something that I could share from my own knowledge, reading and observation. That's I think that's a short answer from me.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Saiful. Probably I should read the next questions because we have quite a number right now. Okay, another question by, so this question I'm going to open to any of the panelists, Prof. Siansa, Dr. Biha, and Mr. Sayafon, in case you want to answer. Are there any challenges in monitoring and supervision of students' learning activities in digital learning, and how to overcome these challenges?
Maybe I would like to answer this question. In the age of generative AI and artificial intelligence itself, there are many good plugins and tools that can assist educators to monitor and supervise students' learning activities, especially using learning analytics, because this is more or less my field. So I would say that the advancement of technology in assisting educators in higher education institutions to monitor and supervision of students' learning activities is very good in such a way that you can monitor who are the students who are at risk of dropping out. That is number one. You can also predict, the technologies nowadays can also assist educators to predict who are more likely to drop out or more likely to have lower grades or have better grades as a result of their learning activities and participation in online learning. Other than that, we also have a technology that can allow the monitoring and supervision of students' learning activities in such a way that they give advice to the students on which areas of learning and which learning activities that they should do so that they can perform better in their academic achievement. So all of these technologies are already in place, actually, that can assist the monitoring and supervision of students' learning activities, especially in higher education institutions. It's a matter of installing these plugins. It's a matter of investing some budget for us to have this infrastructure in place. So that would be my take on this issue of monitoring and supervision of students' learning activities. I would like to ensure that I would like to reaffirm that there shouldn't be any challenges, especially when we have digital learning facilities in place.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Biha.
Can I add something? Can I add
Yes.
something on that?
Yes.
I think one of the things that I observe based on my own experience and my colleague experience as well, when it comes to monitoring and supervision of students is depending on the level of the students, undergraduate or postgraduate. So if looking at the undergraduate, especially in Malaysia, because they are quite fresh, I would say that they are developing the maturity as a learners. I think that have, I would say, challenging moment for any supervisors or the educators to monitor and supervise the undergraduate students when it comes to the digital learning, especially when it comes to, when it comes to they need to manage the time to cater for their online learning, for example. And we have seen that their motivation, this is something that we also look at the data and across the practices, not only in Malaysia, at the regional as at the global, we have seen that their motivations when it comes to learning online alone, I would say that remarkably reducing, and their motivation to learn more beyond than what has been provided in the digital platform is also reducing. I think the challenges is with the students with, I would say that developing maturity. But for the postgraduate students, because there are more adults, they are more mature learner. I think for the postgraduate level, the challenges is a bit different compared to the undergraduate, especially when the adults learner are basically they are having their own careers, pursuing their the further study in their respective field. That makes a different challenge when it comes to how much control we want to have with our with our postgraduate students, because they are seem to be independent, but the level of control that we allow to postgraduate students will be very challenging to be not to be negotiated with them, because they have their own life, they have their own way of thinking, they have their own way of thinking about something, and they have their own experience when it comes to the learning in the digital world. I think we need to tackle both categories differently, because challenges are different, but most of challenges will come to the undergraduate as compared to postgraduate. But the challenges postgraduate is how we manage the autonomy of learning to them as compared to to the undergraduate students. I think there is something that I observe quite significantly from my own experience as well as colleagues and evidence reported in the literature.
Moderator?
Yes. Please.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question, and I think I agree that the postgraduate and undergraduate sort of students have their own sort of issues, but one of the things that I can see an issue that cut across both levels of sort of students, or both level of studies, is that the way that we deal with plagiarism or using other sort of people's ideas in their own sort of work. Yeah, of course we have this software like Turnitin to see the level of or the degree of similarities, the index of similarity between the students' work and against other sort of references. But the thing is, we should, as an institution, give certain kind of or certain amount of allowance, where we find it is acceptable for students to be for students' work to be accepted. So the point is, the challenge, I think, is to decide what is the degree of similarity that we find acceptable. Some universities, allow 30% of similarity index. Some are more strict, only accepting 20%, and there should be sort of kind of a benchmark done, yeah, and we should more or less have kind of a range that we find acceptable, with regards to similarity between students' work and against compared against other sources, yeah, used in their work. This is one thing that I can see, yeah, not only in dissertation but also in students' sort of assignments. And we know that AI is very good, and it is something that here to stay. Yeah, it is here to stay. The thing is, how are we going to allow certain sort of code of conducts that we feel is acceptable, and or what is actually there must be a line dividing something that is acceptable and unacceptable. That is what I think about this thing. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much to all three speakers for your take on Dr. Win's question. We have about 4 or 5 more. This one is a question from Uzaini at UMS. Okay, embracing digital require financial investments such as acquiring access, subscription, infrastructure. And she would like to hear comments by the speakers. Any one of you?
Maybe let me go first.
All
I think as I mentioned, this is something that really challenging. Even though sometimes we think that go for online is reducing costs, but actually to get the quality content of digital system, content, infrastructure, and everything, actually that's required, I would say, more cost. And in fact, from my own experience when dealing with the provider, the charging is sometimes beyond our capacity. I mean that beyond than our budget. So how do we go with those digital learning when we are under resource constraint, especially budget? I think this is where I think under MEPTA we are trying to pool of resources, particularly digital resources, having shared platform if possible. There is something that they are working right now, looking at is there any shared platform, shared resources, particularly in the education open resources, MOOC and micro-credential whatsoever, so that we can minimize the needs for high cost to maintain online digital education. And this somehow contributing to the sustainability of the digital learning, especially when it comes to a public university that cannot charge students easily. Even for the fee, we cannot just increase our fees easily, even though we know the needs of revising the fees is very much essential at this moment when it comes to the current needs to support the digital learning through a proper learning platform. And one of the things that we go about it, we are using the open LMS, which is open sources that can be used and can be utilized freely, and we can adjust it according to our needs. I think this is something that very important, but we need to be a bit more creative and innovative using whatever free resources available within our hands. I think it's something that I would like to share. Thank you.
Prof. Sir, Dr. Binha, if you'd like to add on to that, or Mr. Saifon?
Perhaps. Yeah, I think you raised a very important point there, Josephul. And the thing is that the way we look at technologies, it may sort of reduce the use of physical papers. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It does a lot. But the thing is, there is also cost that comes with technology, as you say, and of course this is from our own experience. At UMS, for example, sometimes the university has to make difficult decision to sort of cut costs. They have to unsubscribe certain journals, for example, or certain services available online, because the thing that you have just said. So it is not really what you call true that by using digital it will reduce cost. It does have it comes with certain sort of costs with it, and sometimes we can afford it, sometimes we can't. So this one is something that is this is the reality basically, and like it or not, we have to maybe prioritize the things that we want to subscribe for maybe the benefits of certain group of people in the institution, especially if, in our case in universities, for example, academicians or the administrators and so on. Yeah, I think this is something that is we have to be aware of and take into account, in digitizing education.
All right, probably I think we can move to the next questions. Okay, this is a long comment by Julibet Milo. She appreciates the initiative of personalized curriculum, where students formulate a curriculum based on their abilities, needs, and learning interests. This, in fact, is somewhat new to me because we are used to the conventional way wherein teachers are the ones developing curriculum guided by national policies and institutional goals of education. I think that adopting this practice of developing students' personalized curriculum would make learning and education on the part of students engaging and will ensure that they will really take responsibility of their learning. Her concern is, how do we balance the students' personalized curriculum with the institutional curriculum? If we adopt and implement a personalized curriculum, how could we ensure that the competencies we expect from our students be attained for them to be functional members of our society? I think the best person would be Dr. Biha here.
Okay, thank you for your questions. I think earlier in my presentation, I share a little bit on the Excel curriculum framework that is a curriculum structure that serve as a guideline. It serves as a structure that to give an idea to higher education institution on how can you formulate an academic program. So when we talk about personalized curriculum, of course, although the way I say it seems fashionable and trendy, when in fact, when we have to be realistic. When we want to design, when we want to have a personalized curriculum, currently what happened is that we have certain number of percentages in which we allow students to design on your own. We also have a percentage of number of credits in which the students have to comply to a certain extent. So this is done so that, for example, someone who wants to enroll in a personalized curriculum, academic program, if he or she is graduated from UTM, he somehow has this UTM DNA at the end of the academic program. The personalized curriculum, what is currently happening in Malaysia, we have some examples. In University Kebangsaan Malaysia, we have Sarjana Bachelor of Citra. So this Bachelor of Citra allows 4 different tracks of choices of courses in which students can choose from. So it is not entirely out of nowhere and then you pull all these courses and from your own curriculum. Currently, it is not that flexible. However, during the first year of study, if you think the curriculum allows the student to experience different domains. For example, they have the opportunity to learn about social sciences. They have the opportunity to learn about pure science. They also have opportunity to learn some computer science related courses. So this is what happened during year 1. And then moving on to year 2. Now, after some time that you have been learning in the academic program, you might feel like your interest is more towards, for example, computer science related courses. So then you begin to build your curriculum of your own, in which you start to choose courses related to computer science into your curriculum. So this is how it is being currently designed in University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and I think they have one academic program, one cohort of students have graduated. I also have another example from University Technology Malaysia. We have a bachelor degree of general studies. So similarly, these students have 4 tracks of different learning domains for them to choose from. So they have the opportunity to experience many learning content and learning domain. And upon learning from these 4 very different and distinct areas, they get to choose what is it that they are passionate about. And along the way, when he or she is building his own curriculum for graduation, they can also take online courses in the form of MOOCs or in the form of micro-credential and apply for credit transfer in their academic program Bachelor Degree of General Studies. However, these 2 examples that I show you have its own challenges. Number 1, among the stakeholders. For students graduated from Bachelor Degree of General Studies, people might wonder, what is your expertise? And what is your job, your future jobs would be after you graduate from this kind of program? Because the name itself, which is Bachelor of General Studies, does not reflect what kind of specialization do you have upon graduating from that program. However, this kind of program has their own target audience, and they have people who wants to explore so many things, and at the end of the day, their intention or their purpose is not to embark in any profession. Maybe they already have their own profession, but their interest is more of wanting to explore something new, wanting to learn something new. So currently in Malaysia, we have these 2 examples that I know from. You can search that over the internet as well. These 2 academic program, Bachelor of General Studies and Bachelor of Chitra from 2 different universities. So of course, when designing the curriculum as well, it comes along with the competencies, the program learning outcome. All of those things are still more or less being structured. But they have this flexibility of choosing what they want to learn moving ahead in the 2nd or 3rd year of study in the academic program. I hope that answers your question related to personalized curriculum. This is what we currently have in Malaysia right now that I can share with you.
Do I have additional input from the other speakers?
Maybe I would like to add on. I think not to achieve personalized curriculum is is a bit challenging, but maybe the most I think the more reasonable way is to personalize learning. I think that will be a kind of things that we might want to try first before we go for personalized curriculum. Yes, we know that under KPT we have points, as mentioned by Dr. Nobiha just now, but there are not many takers so far. Why? Because it's very challenging to have this kind of personalized curriculum at this moment, because we have not unlocked so many, so many enablers for that. All right, so we haven't yet unlocked the enablers. So that is very much futuristic. I would say it is a future because it's a patient-driven. But at this moment, perhaps if we can embark on how we can personalize learning, that will be very interesting and very good for the students. At least it's a catalyst for the personalized curriculum in the future. I think this is my opinion pertaining to this question. I always look at what is feasible at this moment before we catch the most perfect one in the future. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Saiful. Okay, I have not added in a new question yet, but what I could do is probably to read it right from the chat box. Another question, I think, this is from Dr. Kamran Sata. He would like to hear from your experience as how to address those students group who is reluctant and not much interested in digital learning. So how shall we encourage and stimulate them, and how to keep the student on track if we feel they're very much inclined towards digital learning so much that they are getting away from regular classroom activities and face-to-face learning. I think this is a different take on the student progress just now, which was already answered. But in case any of the speakers would like to...
And this is addressed to Dr. Saiful.
Okay, maybe Prof. Saiful, because this is addressed to you.
All right, so I think as we have discussed just now, every student have their preference, So that's why nowadays we have many options. We have blended, we have hybrid, we have we have open distance learning. So there are so many modes of learning that we offer to the student to suit the learner diversities. So I think at the end of the day is our task as the education provider is to provide the opportunities to the students to choose from. I think we have given them options. You can learn from online, you can from face-to-face, you can learn blended, whatsoever. So I think at the end of the day, we have to trust them. We have to empower the student to choose which one they are preferred. So with appropriate mode of program. So I think this is the only way we can do at this moment, because any cohort of students, you always have reluctant candidates to which any option because everyone have their preference. So I think let's give them opportunities. That's more important. Give them options to choose from, and then let them decide on which mode that they are most preferred and most comfortable to learn, so that at the end, whatever it is, they must achieve the competency that make them function as someone who is going to the any profession that related to the program that they took. All right, so I think this is my take. I have no any silver bullet answer, but sounds like very diplomatic answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. I think Dr. Kamran actually appreciated that. Moving on to the next question, I think Prof. Suyansa, you can quickly answer this one because this is related to your presentation. From Dr. Win Main O, this is her second question actually. Do we have any standardized and validated tools to measure the digital literacy among different groups, such as general community, academicians, and undergraduate students?
I'm not, well, maybe there are already in place, yeah. But I think my colleague who deal with this directly maybe know more than I do. I mean, maybe from Saiful or the Norbiha, you know, or our colleague knows about this. But you know, maybe no, Dr. Norbiha, are you aware of this?
If I'm not mistaken, UNESCO has their own digital literacy standards, and they have their own digital literacy framework to evaluate both students and teachers separately. However, it is not a measuring tool. It serves as standards that the expectation is that if an institution or if a country would like to evaluate to what extent their teachers or their students are digital literate, they can make use of these standards. However, I don't think they have established the measuring tool yet, but they did establish a digital literacy standard for both students and teachers separately. And recently, I think they also issue AI literacy, AI literacy framework, AI literacy framework, which is different than digital literacy framework, which is also different than digital skills framework. So, in my opinion, UNESCO has done a great job in formulating this framework, but they did not establish a measuring tool. It's just an overview about where you should go for in terms of digital literacy, in terms of AI literacy, differently for teachers and for students. That's what I know. Maybe Dr. Saiful knows more, and Dr. Saiful can.
Yeah, I think I do agree with Biha. I haven't seen any digital literacy validated tools, but there are a lot of indicators that has been established, and perhaps this is something that is good for future research. Why not? Taking this as a future research under DXC as an extension of your one of the outcomes out of the DXC project. Maybe I would say is a very good questions. And then I think it's a very good area that everyone is looking forward. Thank you.
All right, I think if I'm mistaken, Dr. Warda has shared something on the chat box.
Digital competency framework. Yeah, that one is.
Yeah, by European Commission.
Right.
Commission, yes.
All right, probably one last question, one thought-provoking question here by Professor Joni from HDSC, I assume. If the idea is personalized learning, does it run the risk if emphasizing relativism?
Dr. Saiful?
Oh, so to me, isn't it? I think, all right, so yes, risk emphasizes relativism, but I always believe that if you have something that you can customize learning path for student, that will be already personalized. So it's not really, racing at, in terms of the relativism or not, but I believe that this is our effort to make sure that the student learn in the best way that they can learn. So this is something that we are using data, we are using AI, we are using adaptive technology, whatever we have, even we are using, pen and pencil, as long as that learning create something that customized to the needs of the learners to learn in a better way, I think that is already personalized. So this is my, for my own way of looking at personalized learning. hope I
May I add to it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Moderator, Dr. Rani.
Please do.
Yes, I think it is not something which is considered bad. I mean, of course, it will relate to relativism. I mean, if you look at we human beings, and in terms of teaching and learning, particularly, there is concepts in education which you may be aware of, the concept of individual differences and then different learning styles, as we know, or introduced by Gardner. Okay, I mean, we used to think that this is something which is ideal. I mean, if we can cater the needs of the different learning individuals with different learning styles, I mean, in the classroom, if we can manage that, I think that is something very wonderful. Now, I think this is, personally, I think, this is something which is made possible. I think it is not totally sort of idealistic, but it is really possible that it will come. The idea of personalized, learning would be sort of coming along in not too distant future. I mean, you have these technologies which can allow people to learn at their own pace now. Yeah, with the use of technology, we can, and the accessibility of resources available to learners. I think it is something that is very, very possible in the not too far from now, and in fact we are going towards that. But the idea of individual differences, the idea of multiple sort of intelligences, they are there already in place. It's just that how we use these resources and manage that to cater to the needs of these different students based on their personalized sort of way of learning. Yeah, I think that is my take on that one.
Okay, thank you very much, both professors. Right. I just realized that I've been unfair to Mr. Sayapon for not asking any questions. Would you like to share your opinions, probably, Mr. Sayapon, on any of the issues that have been brought forward by the participants today? Or if not, I should just read the last. I should acknowledge this last message by one of our participants, Mr. Linley Mendoza. Okay, actually, this is not a question, but commendation to the speakers and organizing team. Personalized curriculum, along with faculty and student exchange programs, offer significant advantages in enhancing educational effectiveness. Each of these approaches provides tailored learning experiences that foster engagement, adaptability, and cultural understanding while promoting collaboration among educational institutions. So this is supporting what Professor Suyansa mentioned just now. Okay, probably a question to Mr. Sayapon in the context of Lao PDR, probably how to start for digital learning implementation. If you could offer your perspective in the context of Lao PDR, maybe?
Yeah, yes. Because but I not sure the way about how to the start for the upgrade or the transform the traditional the teaching learning in the digital learning ครับ
Um,
I think, Mr. Sayapun, so I think we overlooked that question was written by you, and you were addressing the question, right? You were asking the question, right? And we asked you to answer. If I may share, I think usually how to start implement digital learning if you're talking from higher education institution point of view. Of course, first we have to establish policies and maybe related regulatory frameworks, as one shown by Dr. Saiful just now, because these policies will serve as a guiding stone for us about where we want to go, how far we want to go with digital learning implementation at higher education institution. At least that only once we have this direction, then only we can mobilize all of our academics, all of our students to start implementing digital learning, using digital learning in their daily life as well. So these policies has to be in place to demonstrate where we want to go for digital learning at our higher education institution. Next, of course, we have to invest some money for infrastructure. Despite having these challenges, I think Professor Yensa has explained just now, we have to prioritize. We may not need all, but we have to start somewhere. And if we are if we have direction where we want to go, and I think we can develop infrastructure in phases. We don't have to embark in everything at the same go. So I think investing in infrastructure, as well as upskilling your talent, that has to be done as well. You need to have a structured talent development program for digital learning. You need to have the support system to support your talent. And of course, I think another important thing when we want to embark to something new is, I think you need some incentive program. So this incentive may not be in the form of money incentive. However, it can be in the form of appreciation or a certificate of recognition. So some sort of incentive, like for example, our academics can, they can have additional marks for their annual assessment or annual evaluation. So the incentive element also has to be in place. So I think establishing this ecosystem, once we have all of this ecosystem in place, then only we can mobilize our digital learning implementation at higher education institution within our institution. If not, I foresee it could be very difficult. If we are looking for bottom-up approach, for example, we want our academics to use digital learning, but we do not provide them support. We want our academics to be able to use technology in their teaching and learning, but they do not know where can they get trainings. So this can be, I think it will take a longer time for an institution to thrive, to embark in digital learning journey, rather than it should be a top-down approach rather than bottom-up approach. So for top-down approach, you need, like as I said just now, policies, all these ecosystem elements, including incentive, has to be in place. Then only you can mobilize. Then only we can mobilize our academics to implement digital learning. I'm not sure, maybe Dr. Saiful would like to add, or maybe Professor Yansa would like to add to that. But I think from my point of view, that is how can you start, that we can start and as higher education institution to implement digital learning.
Yeah, I think I do agree with Bihar. And then in fact, creating awareness is the starting point as well. Creating awareness, putting up this course like what we did right now. And then, let them see what is required, and then buy in their commitment to be part of this initiative is something that we might want to start. And then later on, we can, start gradually, as Bihar mentioned just now. If we cannot get all, but what we can done at this moment, and then looking at the priority that the pertinent key enablers is, I would say, competent user of the technology, which is the training. I think we need to invest in the faculty development first, then let the faculty demonstrate how capable they are, that we influence the top people will see the needs for different level of infrastructure. Even we can, for example, in Malaysia, we are getting into RMK 13, which mean that is a 5-yearly budget for a significant project to develop the nation to the next level. So I think we can always use all these channels, I know, strategically to get what we want at the end. I think, just creating awareness is just like this, it's a very good initiative already before we start implementing others. Then once awareness come in, I believe the rest will come when they are aware of the needs for the future.
Okay, beautifully wrapped up by Dr. Saiful. Okay, so as we draw our sessions to a close, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the valuable insights shared today. We've explored the multifaceted challenges and opportunities of digital transformation in education across Malaysia, Cambodia, and Lao PDR, from policy frameworks, challenges, pedagogical issues to the integration of digital tools in classroom. It's clear that collaboration and innovation are the key to advancing our educational systems. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to our keynote speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Saiful, for setting the stage with such a comprehensive overview. A heartfelt thank you as well to our esteemed panelists, Associate Professor Dr. Nobiha, Professor Dr. Suyansa, and Mr. Sayapon for sharing their expertise and perspective. Your contributions have not only enriched our understanding, but have also sparked ideas for future directions in digital education. I encourage everyone here to take these discussions forward in your own work and continue to collaborate across borders to achieve our shared goals. Before we end the meeting, this is a request. Could we have everyone to turn on your video or camera so that we can take a group photo to commemorate this auspicious day?
Remind them of the attendance.
Okay, do not forget to complete the attendance form shared in the chat box as well. You will receive your certificate after you complete the attendance form. Probably in the count of 3, maybe? Farah or Tara? Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile.
Second page.
Okay, second page. Okay, 3. Third page. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Give your best smile. Okay, next up.
Just do we have?
Okay, how many pages do we have, Farah? 14. We have 150 participants at the moment. I think we started off with more at the beginning.
200 plus.
200 plus. So we reached our target. We know that we exceeded our target by 100%, which is good news to all of us at the XC project.
Thank you.
Thank you very
much. Thank you
very
very
much, everyone and participants, for your active participation.
Thank you.
I hope you found this session as inspiring and insightful as I did. So let's keep the conversation going as we work together to shape the future of education. Thank you and have a wonderful
Keep a look at
day.
our conference at the end of next year.
Yes, and look forward to our conference at the end of next year. We'll be mailing you about the event soon. Do come over here, visit us at University Malaysia Sabah. You can see our beautiful beaches.
Come.
Okay, do come. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you,
bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr. Saiful.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Sayapon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Informative seminar.
Mr. Saifon said something just now.
Sawadika.
Oh, Sawadika.
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 How do you say
Oh, is it that?
goodbye in Tagalog? from our Filipino friends, how do you say goodbye?
Paalam.
Tagalog.
Paalam po. Paalam.
Mahalo.
Paalam.
Paalam. Thank you.
Paalam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.